Betty, take me back to, well, actually, I hardly don't know anything at all about this story. So would you mind just taking me back to, was it 40 years ago?
48 years ago. She was living in Cedar City at the time, or staying in Cedar City at the time with my brother and sister in law. She went to school that day. She called my sister in law, said, I'm going to stop off at Hermes, which was a hamburger place, for a hamburger, and I'll be home right away. My sister in law said, be home by 6 because I'm going to choir practice. She never came back. She was missing for 2.5 years before a gentleman came across her remains. She was buried in a field not far from where my brother lived, about 3 blocks, in an empty field in a root cellar. And this guy driving a motorcycle, something happened to his motorcycle, so he wanted to prop it up on that hump of dirt that was there. And when he did, it caved in and he could see human remains. Now, we always suspected John Petrie. He was the last one seen with her. He was a schoolmate. They were both 15 years of age, not dating or not really close friends, more of acquaintances. And he left Cedar City the next day and went to Las Vegas to his sister's house. And that was suspicious. He drew out money. They did, I don't know what they did for the 2.5 years. Anyway, they tried to locate him and try to find out who killed her. Because when she came up missing, we had no way, there was no body for 2.5 years.
Wow. So she was 15. She'd just gotten home from school, living with your sister-in-law, said, I'm going to go get a hamburger and never came back.
Right.
And,
And my,
oh, go ahead.
go ahead. My sister in law contacted Petrie's family, went to their house and knocked at the door and said, have you seen Phyllis? His mother would not let her talk to her son, John. She said, he's taking a bath, just go away. And my sister in law was kind of taken back by that. She says, well, my niece is missing and she was last seen with Johnny, and I just wondered if he knew what happened to her. And then his story later on was that she met some guy, some blonde guy, and a car and went, but that
Mm.
wasn't the case.
So you said
And
they weren't dating, but do you know, did he express some romantic interest in her?
well, that's what, see, when they found the remains and everything, and back then they didn't use DNA, uh, there was, it was all circumstantial evidence. They thought that he probably did try maybe to rape her or get fresh with her or assault her in some way. We don't know.
Mm. And
And
at the time, was Cedar City pretty small?
yes, yes. And he was sent to jail. Then they had a trial. He was convicted of second degree murder. The jury acquitted, said guilty to that. He was sent up to the prison. I think he spent a year and a half up there. He appealed, and I knew he would appeal, or they told me he might appeal, but they didn't feel there was enough evidence for him to appeal. But I was never notified that he had appealed. I heard on the 6 o'clock news that he was let out of prison and they were taking him to the state of California. Two other uh, detectives or officials, police officers, whoever, accompanied him to California for another crime. That's all I ever knew.
Okay, so back up a little bit. They found the remains 2.5 years later. Do you remember what year that was?
Yep, July 3rd, 1980. She
1980.
came,
They find her
she,
remains. A motorcyclist did.
uh-huh.
And was it I mean, was she just lying there? I hate to be graphic, but or was she been buried? Was it a shallow grave? Do you know the
It was a
condition?
shallow, like a root cellar that they used to store vegetables in years ago.
Okay.
But yes, her hands were tied behind her back and her legs were brought up. folded onto her back and tied that way. So it was obviously a crime. There's no way she could do that.
And at that point, what led police to Petrie?
Well, they always suspected him and they always kept an eye on him. But when he was found and it came out on the news right away, he returned back to Cedar City that very day after the news broke. So they started questioning him and found they had enough evidence gathered to have a trial.
Mm.
So they convicted, had a trial.
And
I'm
he
probably a
was
little mixed.
convicted. A jury found him
He
guilty.
was, yes,
So
but
then he
just
appealed.
yes. And Dallin Oaks of the church was in the Supreme Court at that time. And it says in the paper, the newspaper and everything, that he didn't feel there was enough evidence. There was no motive as to why he killed her, which of course we don't know why.
Hmm.
Don't know
So,
if we ever will know why.
so it appealed
So
all the way to the
then,
Supreme Court. Supreme
uh-huh,
Court releases him, but then he's not clear to go. He has to go to California.
right. So I heard that on the 6 o'clock news, and I called the district attorney at that time. I can't remember his name now. We went up and met with him, and he said, yes, he was out of prison going to serve for another crime in California. Didn't tell me what it was or anything. I assumed from then on this was a closed case. Well, in April or May, my other daughter that lives in Salt Lake has a friend that works in law enforcement. And this friend called my daughter and she said, I see where they've opened your sister's case. It was never closed. It's a cold case now. And we were stunned. We didn't know, 48 years later.
Hmm.
So a cold case detective in Cedar City is now on the case. He
Wow.
has sent her he has sent her what they had, clothing, and I'm sure the ropes from how she was tied, different things off for DNA testing. He did say it would take a long time, possibly years. I don't know about that.
Wow.
When yeah.
That's something. So my question is, do you still think that John Petrie did it?
Oh, I do. But we always felt he had an accomplice. There was somebody else involved. We never could prove it.
Hmm. So
So,
where is he
yeah,
today?
he's living in, I think it's Burbank, California.
Is he still in
The
jail?
detective, he's been in and out.
All right. So he has a
He's
he has a
out right now.
history. He's out. Do you know how
Yeah,
old he is?
he would be 64,
All right.
64, 65 now.
What do you think they're going to find?
Well, I hope the DNA will show. I know it was her DNA. I'm sure it was my daughter. I never could see because it was skeletal remains. She had no dental work. She had perfect teeth. So, there wasn't any dental work to prove it was her, but I'm sure it was her. But I'm hoping on her clothing they will find DNA of John Petrie and another person. I assume there's another person involved.
You think they both maybe lured her into that root cellar
I think they killed her beforehand, didn't know what to do about it, so they buried her.
in the root cellar? Mm.
That's what we thought at the time.
So take me back, Betty. Do you remember those days? How did you first find out that your daughter was missing?
I worked in Salt Lake and I got to work about 7:30 and my boss said, your sister-in-law from Cedar City is calling you. And I said, oh, why would she be calling this early? Are you sure? And he said, yeah. So I called her back and she said, Phyllis did not come home last night. She said, I've called the police, but they won't do anything because they have to be missing for 48 hours. Uh, she called hospitals, uh, called all her friends. Nobody knew anything. There was nothing. So I left then to go down to Cedar City. And I was down there for 2 or 3 weeks dealing with the police and the detectives and doing our own research, looking around. And that's how I found out that she didn't come home.
And
And my brother at the time worked for the BLM and was out in the field. And that was before cell phones and all this stuff. So
Mhm.
she couldn't get a hold of her husband right away to tell him. So she was dealing with this by herself. My sister-in-law was dealing with it by herself till I got down there. And then so we looked and looked and searched, and I dealt with the detectives up in Provo and Springville. We sent dental work and pictures to the FBI. We did all what they told us to do. And for 2.5 years, nothing
mm.
until July 3rd when this guy happened to put his motorcycle on this hump of dirt and it caved in. And
And he found your
then
daughter.
we found her.
So,
Yep.
so in those 2.5 years, how do you even sleep or eat or function?
You don't. You, I had 3 kids to support. I was a single mom, so I had to keep going. And that's what you do. You just live. You're not emotionally there, but you're there. You're doing the everyday things. You're getting up, you're eating, cooking, cleaning, going to work, taking the kids to school, all your everyday things. But you're not really there.
Mm.
And I was close to my wits' end when they did find her. I thought I can't go on any longer because we were everything you hear about you searched, we'd hear about different uh, people getting killed or accidents that they didn't know who the people were, different things. We were searching everything.
Yeah. How old were your
My
other
mom and
kids?
they were her other sister was 14 and my son was 10 and my daughter was 8.
So she's the oldest of four,
She was the oldest of four, yeah.
and you're raising
And
them all alone, man.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a hard 2.5 years. And we've learned to kind of go on and live through all this. But now, after 48 years, they tell me it's been a cold case sitting on the shelf
Yeah.
in the police station or wherever they keep things. I'm like, wow,
When you found out that she was last seen with Petrie, did you? I know you said your sister-in-law went over to try to talk to him, and the mom said no. Did you ever try to touch base with him again before he was arrested?
uh, I talked to his stepfather, and they were not too friendly at all. They wouldn't. They just said we don't know anything. He had nothing to do with this. Just go away. They wouldn't really converse. So I did try to talk to him.
And did you think there in that 2.5 year period that, yeah, he's the one, he did something? Or were you thinking that it might be someone else or that maybe she ran away?
No, that's what they kept telling me at first. Oh, she ran away. You know how teenagers are. And I said, no, I know my daughter. She would not do that. Even if she were mad at me, she would contact her sister. They were very close. So I said, no, she's time. They begin to think, yeah, something's wrong. But of course, we didn't find any body for 2.5 years, so it's hard to do anything. But I always felt he had something to do with it. He was the last person to be seen with her. He left that next day and he didn't return until word was out they found this body. That's very suspicious. Plus, he told his sister that he was living with, he kept having these reoccurring dreams that he hurt a girl. And he said, I may have killed her. He would tell his sister that. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure he did it. Why? I don't know. It wasn't like that close. I have no idea why he would do that unless he tried to make advances and she didn't want it. He
Oh
did
my God.
say he remembers getting slapped, so she probably slapped him.
Mm-hmm.
When we went up to the medical examiners to after they got the body up in Salt Lake, she did tell me, I think on the death certificate it said strangulation.
Mm.
So that's, there was no bullet holes you
Stab
know,
wounds or
uh,
anything like that.
or anything like that.
Did Where were you when you found out that your daughter had been found?
I was leaving work. I worked in Ormond at that time, and I was leaving work, and I was going to my mom's house to pick up my other kids from school. And I saw the police car and several other cars at the house, and I just thought, what's going on? I couldn't even imagine. And I walked in and I saw the detective and a police officer and the bishop, and I just told him I didn't want to talk to him. I knew then it was bad news.
Mm.
So that's how I found out. And I'm glad. And they were worried that I would hear it on the news before they had a chance to tell me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why back then they didn't contact you over things. I don't know. They're, like now when someone is on trial, you can go give not witness statement, a victim's statement. I
Right.
never got to do that.
You never got to
No
give a
one,
statement to him.
no one notified me that he was even coming up for an appeal. I had not a clue.
Did you go to his trial?
Yeah, yeah, I had to testify.
You testified, and what was that like?
Horrible. I had to look at her clothing and identify it, and her jewelry that she had on, which they kept. And I'm glad they kept them all now because that's, I guess, what they've sent back for DNA testing.
Mm-hmm.
It was very difficult because the trial was held in Parowan, a little town. And Easter weekend. Yeah. And they knew they couldn't get him for first degree because it was a lot of circumstantial evidence. So they went
Mm-hmm.
for second degree. And when he was found guilty and then whisked away, I thought, good, he'll be in prison at least for 15 years. But
Well, he would have been
I
what, 17 or 18 during the time of the trial?
17,
17.
17. So he's still tried as a juvenile.
I see. And that's why you're saying that he may have only served 15 years.
I think when at first it was 15 to No, it was 5 to 15, or
5 to
I forget
15.
what yeah, 5 to 15.
So I imagine the guilty verdict comes back. You're relieved. As you said, you went on with your life. When did you then find out about the appeal and that he had been let go?
I never knew it till I was cooking dinner and it came on the 6 o'clock news.
Mm.
I I heard him say John Petrie is being released from prison for the death of or for the, I don't know how they word it anyway, the involvement in Phyllis Addy's disappearance and death. And I thought, getting released? What do they mean released? I didn't know. And we couldn't do anything until the next day. And we talked to the district attorney in Salt Lake, and that's what he explained to me, that it had been overturned and they were taking him to California
Mm.
for another crime. Uh, that was it. I thought the case closed. That was it. I had no idea
I know
that
you said that he's has other crimes on his record. Anything this serious?
no, I would know of one that was a liquor store robbery, and I think he was in Arizona prison for a while there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know which prison in Arizona.
So you said this 40-year gap goes by, 40 plus years since he was released, and now you learn that the case is, considered a cold case and they're looking at it again. What have your thoughts been over the past 40 years? I mean, have you always thought it's him? You said him and maybe an accomplice too. Have you tried to get the police to do more, or have you kind of just let it play out? What have you been going through?
I didn't do anything because I thought it was done and over. I
Right.
didn't think there was anything I could do. I was just naive to that. I really thought it was over until in April when my daughter received this phone call from her friend saying they'd opened the case and we're going to open the case. We didn't know it was not, we thought it was just closed. We didn't know anything. And the detective that is, I don't know if he's a new detective or new to the cold case position, but he said, I've seen her stuff and I've always thought of her. You know, he said, I've know the information.
Mm.
So he's taken over. So yeah, it's a little mind boggling
And
after
when,
all these years.
if they're able to get answers that you're hoping for, and there is another trial, I guess that for you, what do you think about that?
Mixed emotions. We would like closure. We never really got closure. So maybe through this, some closure will come up. The outcome won't change. My daughter is gone. Uh, I would hope that who's involved in this would have to pay for what they've done.
Hmm.
He's lived a good, or not a good life. He's lived his life free for a number of years. You know,
Right.
he should pay, and whoever, I'm sure he had to have help. And the detective that I worked with felt that way too, but we just didn't have any proof.
Hmm.
It's too bad they didn't do DNA back then, but they didn't. And
I was going to ask you that, over the years, there's been such advancements in DNA and technology and other type of testing.
yeah,
As you learn about other crimes that are solved this way, or you see other cases that are solved in different ways, I would imagine you're always thinking about your daughter's case at the
I
back of
am.
your mind.
Yes, yes. You learn a lot of things now that we didn't know back then. Yes.
Yeah.
And they, with the new technology now, there's a lot of things they can find out. And I thought after 48 years, maybe that was too long, but it is not. They can still do it. I was under the impression they thought they could still try him again. Whether that's right or not, I'm not sure. Say if it comes up and it shows his DNA,
That's a
if
good
they,
question. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a great question. So, would you mind, Betty, just telling me a little bit about your daughter?
she was uh, she was a beautiful soul, very friendly and very kind to everybody. She, even the underdog, she tried to help. You know, if somebody was having a problem, they were an underdog or didn't look too good, whatever. She always felt sorry for them. She was a likable. She's made a mark on a lot of people's life. There's a lot of people, even after 48 years, have not forgotten her or that situation. She was just a giving, fun girl, very athletic.
I'm
She was
sure at
good
the
in
time
school, never caused problems.
never caused problems. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I would imagine for a girl like that in a small town like Cedar City to vanish and then ultimately be determined that she was murdered, I imagine it just kind of rocked the community.
it did. It did. Yeah, it was, yeah,
Mm,
there's still people that still remember hearing about that and
yeah.
knowing, you know. And I
Well,
remember a lot of her friends and people, heard their mothers came to the trial.
mm. And I'm sure over the years too that you often think like if your daughter were alive today, she'd be a grandmother, possibly,
She
right
would,
on.
she could. Yeah, I've missed out on, never got to see her graduate, never got to see her get married and have children, be successful, whatever. You know, I was robbed of that. And for what reason? What good reason? There isn't one.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I really don't know what his motive was. They did tell me that a pair of his undershorts were placed on top of her. I don't know if he did that for, I don't know.
Right.
When I saw her clothing, it didn't look like anything had been torn or shredded. She had a sweater. and it wasn't, you know, torn or anything. They weren't even that dirty, her clothes. I was surprised, you know. So I have no idea what
Betty,
happened, and it had to probably happen between the hours of, say, 7 o'clock at night till I'd say 10 or 11. I don't know.
that evening.
Yeah,
Well, what would you say to the person or people who did this?
I would want to know why. Why would you do that to somebody that meant no harm to you? Why? And I think they should pay. They should be accountable for what they've done. I mean, going to prison, yeah, he should go to prison, and whoever else is involved, they should pay for that crime. It'll never bring my daughter back. I know that. But I think justice needs to be served. There was never any justice. There was never any closure for us. And, you know, I do. I don't feel they should just be running free nilly, doing what they want. And he isn't a good person yet. I mean, he hasn't even turned his life around to like, oh, I've done something bad. Let me be a good person. It's not that way.
Yeah.
That's what I understand from the detective. They've said they've kept uh, uh, eyes on him or whatever. They know what he's doing and where he's been, and it's not always good.
Mm.
So
Well, I hope, Betty, that now that there's, a new detective on the case and that they're looking at it again, that this can get you the closure that you've wanted for nearly 50 years. That's just
I
crazy.
know it is. It's like unbelievable. I'm
Yeah.
When they told me they were doing it again, I was in shock. I couldn't even respond. I was in shock.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought it was done, and here we are again. And I hope I don't have to go through another 2.5 years of kind of up in the air. Have they got the DNA? Are they working on it? Can they figure it out? Whatever, The detective felt it would be he said things were very well preserved, and he felt it would be very easy to get the DNA. There shouldn't be a problem the way things were preserved. Everything was done right, so that's in our favor, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't, I don't know where they send them. I didn't ask where they send them.
He just sent to a lab.
To a lab somewhere, I guess.
And they do the DNA testing there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I guess they get back to the detective and the police officers, whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes these things, especially with the legal system, seem to take forever before you get a break. And then sometimes they happen very fast. It's an easy match. So hoping for
Yeah,
the
that's what they've
rapidness.
said. It should go for it does take a long time. They said it's not a overnight thing, or it could be years or a year or longer. You just don't know,
Hmm.
I guess, till I really feel once they could get the DNA, it would go quickly because I think it would be very simple. I really
Yeah.
feel it's the person that they was convicted. I really do believe it was him.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh,
Mom,
like
do you want to tell about the letter that he had?
Oh, he wrote when he was in prison too. He wrote he told his cellmate when John Petrie was in prison. He told his cellmate that he had killed a girl, and somehow they got my ex-husband's information, and the letter went to him that John Wilson had confessed to the cellmate that he had killed a girl and what he had done. And
Wow.
I still have a copy of that letter. Yeah, it's a
Mm.
It's hearsay, so.
Well,
but the guy now has since passed away, the one that was his cellmate. He got out of prison, but he has passed away. So
so this guy, this cellmate wrote a letter to your ex-husband saying, I'm in the same cell as John Petrie and he told me he killed a girl. Did I
yeah.
have that right?
And that
Or
it was yes,
okay.
that it was Phyllis. He killed her. He didn't say why, There was not why he did it,
Did
but
police
he
ever
killed us.
interview him? Do you know?
I don't think they did.
But
As far
he's
as I know, I don't think they did.
but he's now
And the
dead.
detective did try to, yeah, the detective now that has got this cold case, tried to contact him and found out he'd passed away about 10 years ago, something
Mm,
like that. So
jeez.
I still have a copy of the letter, but,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, is there anything, Betty, that you want to add?
Well, I don't know. I appreciate watching you, and I'm learning more about these crimes, and there's way too many of them. And you guys do a good job on your podcast.
Oh, thank you. I
And
appreciate that.
yeah,
And I appreciate you sharing your story, because there's other people that are in similar situations. And I think that there can be a benefit in hearing from people and hopefully, igniting a spark in investigations to get these things looked at. I think over the next few years with DNA and advancements in technology, you're going to see a lot of people brought to justice because of the changes that we didn't have 20 or
oh,
30 or 40
and
years
that
ago.
I know it. I
Yeah.
think the DNA. I heard one time on the DNA started in 1980, but about 4 months later, after the fact, for Phyllis. So
Mm,
uh, I don't know why they never did it then. I don't know why. Like I said, she was just put on a shelf somewhere as a cold case, and I wish I had even known about that, so I
right.
could have been pursuing. But I had no idea.
Hmm.